Hey guys, so we're back going to do the Industrial Revolution Unit Notes Part 2. And today what we're going to talk about is several inventions that were created during this time period. We saw with our last set of notes the introduction of the factory system and the creation of goods that are going to be made by machines instead of by hand. And with that comes a lot of new inventions during this time period, some of which we're going to see how they grow into items that we still use today. And then some of them will be good information as we continue forward. You will be using this information for a couple upcoming assignments within this unit. So the first invention that we're going to be talking about is interchangeable parts. Interchangeable parts are a part of something that is exactly alike. So we're going to use the picture that's on the screen as an example. When before the Industrial Revolution, if somebody wanted to make a rifle, they would have to make each part by hand. And so that meant if you were making two rifles, no two rifles would have been exactly the same. They could have made them the same way, but when you're making things like hand, every piece could be slightly different. But then they invented interchangeable parts, and these interchangeable parts were made by machines. And the benefit to that is that every item that's produced is exactly the same. So what this does is it speeds up production. They are able to produce products faster when every single piece is being made alike. Then it becomes an issue of assembling something instead of creating each individual piece by hand. It makes repairs really easy. So take that same rifle that we were talking about. If a piece breaks, instead of having to take it to a blacksmith to repair, you could just buy another part. The biggest thing, though, with the interchangeable parts is it allowed the use of less skilled workers. And so in that case, you don't have to pay them as much. If you take the example of a blacksmith, he is a highly trained worker. He has worked his whole life to develop his skills as a blacksmith. And so when he makes something in his shop, he can charge more money. It's a unique item because it is handmade. Well, when you're making interchangeable parts with a machine, you only need to train somebody to work that part of the machine. You don't have to train them on making the entire product. And so you're able to train them for less time and you're able to pay the workers less. So that was really the big impact with the interchangeable parts. The next invention that we're going to talk about is the steamboat. A man named Robert Fulton created a steamboat, and what's significant about this is it's able to move against the current or against strong winds. So the way the steam engine works, if you look at the picture that's on the screen, you have the paddled wheel that's on the side, and there is a machine, the steam engine, that is on the boat. When it operates, it's moving that wheel, and then the paddles will pull the boat through the water. So this invention is significant because it makes it easier to travel upstream, so against the current of the river, and then you can also sail against strong winds. So this is especially significant for transportation. It's easier for people to travel different places with a steamboat. And then this is also significant for trade. People are able to ship their goods up and down the Mississippi instead of just whichever way the current is going. So this has significant impact on people who are trading goods as well as transporting people. All right, the telegraph. This is one of those inventions that, we kind of still use one of the telegraph's ancestors or future inventions. So the telegraph was created by a man named Samuel F.B. Morse. And what the telegraph did is it sent long and short pulses of electricity along a wire. And how this would look is you would have a telegraph shop with the telegraph machine, You would have wires that stretched from town to town. You can kind of imagine like a telephone pole with a wire. And the telegraph machine would send pulses of electricity along the wire. And someone would operate the telegraph machine and would write down the messages that were being sent. So what they did is they created an alphabet along that was comprised of dots and dashes, and so the telegraph operator would write down the dots and dashes, and he would be able to translate the combination of dots and dashes into letters and then into words and a complete message. So this invention is extremely significant because with the telegraph, it takes only seconds to communicate with somebody in another city. Prior to the invention of the telegraph, you're writing a letter to somebody, depending on where they're at, it could take months to reach them, whether you have to go across a mountain range or across the country, and this makes communication instantaneous. So we're going to listen to an example of the Morse code. There we go. So as you can see, each letter is assigned a dot and a dash combination. So D is dash dot dot. And so a telegraph operator would listen to the combination of dots and dashes, and they would be able to transcribe the message based on what they were hearing. And this is called Morse code. The guy who invented the telegraph, Samuel F.B. Morse. So we're going to listen to this for just a second. All right, so that's an example of Morse code, and that was really the first instance of something that resembles a telephone, and then eventually turns into a cell phone. So this is extremely significant for being able to communicate with people. The steel plow, another extremely important invention, although it doesn't seem as exciting as the telegraph. A man named John Deere, I'm sure maybe recognize the name John Deere. It's a tractor company. He became famous for inventing a steel plow. This was a lightweight plow, and it had a steel cutting edge. You can see in the picture here, this is the edge that would go in the ground. And the way a plow works is you would hitch your plow up to maybe your oxen or your horses. You would lead them through your field that you wanted to plow, and this steel edge would cut in the ground and allow you then to go through and plant seeds where you've plowed. So what was significant about this plow? It worked better in the Midwest soil. Midwest soil had more clay in it than soil in the South and in New England, and so the steels that they were using in the South, the plows really didn't work well in the Midwest, and so John Deere invented this plow that worked in the Midwest soil, and it made preparing their fields much less work. Now, this isn't the first plow to ever be invented. Plows have been around for centuries, but this was the first plow with that steel cutting edge, and it was a more lightweight model. So this was just kind of an upgraded plow. This wasn't the first plow ever invented. What was significant about this invention is that more farmers started to move to the Midwest because they found it easier to plow the land and farm in the Midwest with this plow. All right, the cotton gin. The cotton gin was an invention that was used for cleaning cotton. This was invented by a man named Eli Whitney, and actually Eli Whitney also invented interchangeable parts, which was the first invention that we talked about. So cotton is a plant. It grows in the ground. And so after people pick cotton, they have to clean it. And it means that you're picking out all of the dirt, the burrs, seeds. And so before the invention of the cotton gin, people had to clean cotton by hand. And so this invention is extremely significant because it makes cotton cleaning much more efficient. So this is actually a picture of cotton growing in a field, and so people would, you have to pick that cotton. You can see it grows on a longer branch like a stem, and you have to clean any dirt, debris, burrs that are on it in order to turn it into thread. So this cotton gin, the way it works, if you look at this picture here, you put it in the hopper, and the machine would move this belt, which kind of moves the cotton through the gin, and it goes through a grate and some more brushes, and eventually here at the end you have clean cotton that comes out. Now at first, when the cotton gin was invented, you can see this crank over here. This would have been hand operated, and eventually we will see cotton gins that are machine operated. All right, so the cotton gin changed life specifically in the South in a couple important ways. So because of the cotton gin invention, we see more cotton plantations that begin to spread westward into Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, and Arkansas. Because cotton was easier to clean with the cotton gin, we see more farmers wanting to plant cotton. Cotton was extremely valuable plant. It could be sold for a lot of money, and so people planted cotton at a really high volume. A lot of, you don't see a lot of small farmers planting cotton. They're usually planting it in very large quantities. Because people start to move west into Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Arkansas to plant cotton, we see them push Native American tribes off of southern land as these farmers took over the land. So because cotton is easier to clean, there's an increase in people wanting to farm cotton. They're going to take over that land, and taking over that land means that they are pushing Native Americans off of that land and farther west. Another important effect of the cotton gin being invented is that it actually increases slavery, and slavery expands farther into the South as the cotton production grows. So, because people are planting such large quantities of cotton, it requires a very large workforce to plant the cotton, pick cotton, clean it, ship it. So we see slavery expanding as cotton production rises. So after the cotton gin is invented, we see some effects on slavery. The South is raising millions and millions of bales of cotton each year using slave labor. And so what the South is doing is they are growing the cotton, picking and cleaning the cotton, and they sell the cotton north to the textile mills or textile factories. And all of this is done using slave labor. The cotton gin makes the cotton cleaning process more efficient, and so that leads farmers to plant even more cotton because they can clean it faster than ever before. And because they're planting more cotton, they end up needing more slaves to pick that cotton. So we see an increase in people wanting to plant cotton. They plant more cotton than ever before, and because they are able to clean it faster than ever before, they need more slave labor to make that process work. Okay, so we talked about a couple different inventions. So you have one stop and think question before you turn in these notes. What I want you to think is, which of these inventions do you think has made the biggest impact on society? And you need to explain why in your answer. Now, just because you're talking about a big impact, that doesn't necessarily have to be a positive impact. It could also be a negative impact. So please make sure when you're answering your question that you explain why. And then when you're done with this set of notes, go ahead and turn those in.